4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, customers are the backbone of any and all businesses. If you want to get more customers, we've got to seduce you all.
You've got to progress. If you want to attract bigger people in your life, then you've got to become a bigger person. You've got to become better at your skill sets. You've got to immerse yourself into personal development. You've got to find a mentor. You've got to find one or two people that have the results that you want.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Untold Upline Secrets / The Interviews. Today, I'm really excited to have a good friend of mine, someone that I've been knowing literally from 2014. Him and I have spent a lot of time together on the road, doing events in different cities, having a lot of one-on-one time, a lot of personal time, some fishing time. And this is someone that I've watched grow inside of this industry. Someone that has been in a couple of fields in the industry of direct sales and network marketing, but currently right now is unequivocally flourishing in his current opportunity. And he's had some ups and downs inside of this industry. He had some ups and downs inside of his life. And I'm so excited to have him on because this is going to be one of those super duper real interviews. So let me add to the stage my good friend, my business partner, Mr. Damien Callais. Damien, what's up, brother? How you doing this morning?
How's it going, man?
Man, I'm absolutely awesome. So good to see you here. First of all, you got to let everybody know where you at right now. Like, I know you're not at home. Where are you at?
I'm not at home right now. I'm in Bowling Green, Kentucky. My father lives not far from here, but I live in Destin, Florida. Best beaches in North America. But come to all these places by way of New Orleans, Louisiana, which is my hometown. So
awesome. Good stuff. So there's a lot of people that do not know who Damien is. So I guess that's the best place for us to start at. Let's start about who is Damien. Give us a little backdrop.
Well, I think first and foremost, especially with how dedicated I've become lately in my faith, is I like to identify myself as a follower of Christ. First of all, I'm a child of God. I'm a child of the living God. And, I'm just somebody who believes big. I'm somebody who dreams big. And I'm somebody who knew that I was going to be the one in my family that changed the trajectory of my family. I come from really good people. My family on both sides are mostly blue collar folks, but I saw them doing life a certain way. And I also saw that I didn't want to do it that way, which is why, we went down the path that we went. But, I'm just a guy, I think that I'm passionate and purpose-driven. I think that's the best way to describe me is somebody who is just finally at a place in life where I know what the important things in life actually are. So who am I? I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. My name is Damien Callais. Some people call me Mr. Carpe Diem because I take all out massive action in all areas of my life. But other than that, man, I'm just a guy who's trying to grow God's kingdom every single day and bring more people to the Lord. So that's me.
My man. So one of the things about these interviews, Damien, is that I'm taking a little bit of a different approach. I like to dive deep. You know me. You and I go way back. We like to get raw. So we've got
we putting the heavyweight on. We fishing bottom right here.
No, we fishing bottom, bro. All
right. Now I know how deep you want to go.
Yeah, we fishing bottom, bro. So we got to back up here for a second before we start to get into some of these deeper questions. You gave us that surface level of who Damien is.
Yeah, all right.
I know Damien from a different place. So let's go back there first, and then let's bring him up to speed.
All right. So Damien was a very troubled youth. Damien was a guy who was very lost at a very early age of life. Saw my best friend murdered at 18 years old, and went down a certain path in life growing up in the city of New Orleans that is a tough city to grow up in, to be quite honest with you. And, there's a lot of things that you experience and growing up in a place like that other people don't get to experience. And I don't look at any of that stuff as a liability. It's all an asset. But, I went through some things from a federal indictment to 4 DWIs. I mean, is this how deep we talking, Sid?
How deep we talking, brother? Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. So 4 DWIs, totally a wreck in life until 35. And I think a lot of it had to do with some experiences I had early on in life that kind of just jaded me. And I attribute the person that I am today a lot to the network marketing industry because of the relationships, because of the people that I met so early on in my career that taught me the importance of personal development. And honestly, they believed in me when Damien had no belief in himself. This is even, pre-Ced days. I got involved in network marketing back in. I've been knowing you. It's actually way before 2014, by the way. It was actually 2011 when we first met. But I got in network marketing in 2008, and in that first company that I was in, I happened to meet the people that were all in the lineage of the book of The Secret. Rhonda Byrne, Laurel Langmeyer, Don Duncan, that whole crew, which are all in the movie The Secret, Bob Proctor. I met them in my first network marketing company, and they just saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So I was a very broken person when I found this industry. Fresh out of a federal indictment, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know, I thought that my life and my dreams and my goals were gone. I thought that, I just thought it was done. And luckily somebody saw something in me, and they saw something in me that I didn't even know was there. And they shared this model with me. And I happened to be very early on taught by some extremely high level people that I believe taught network marketing extremely well. But I also believe that those same people are part of the reason why I don't like network marketing. There's a love and hate to everything that we do. I mean, I absolutely love a lot about network marketing, but there's the equal amount of stuff that I've experienced through poor leadership and people that just aren't people that I'm associated with today in my life. But yeah, so I think who am I? I'm a guy who has had a really rough upbringing, and I'm a person now who is living life on fire, man. And I'll just continue to tell everybody. I'll always tell everybody I would not be where I'm at today without network marketing. There's no way, because of the people that I've met like yourself and a lot of other people that have invested in me and invested in my mindset and taught me about personal development and told me the books to read and just the relationships. So yeah, I was a person that when I found this industry was lost, and I found something that I could really wrap my head around, and something that once I finally understood how it worked and I understood what it took to build a successful organization and the type of person that I needed to become to do that, I just really put my head down and worked really hard to become that person.
Awesome. Good stuff. Now we're getting deep. That's what I'm talking about. So everybody has that story about your first introduced to this industry. I remember mine just as clear as day. So let's go to you. Do you remember exactly where you were? Yeah. What was going on? Tell us about that when you were first introduced.
So my mom called me up and she said, "Hey, I have some friends that want to share a business opportunity with you." And she was like, "I think it might be right up your alley. It's in sales and you're a great salesman. And I want you to go show up at my friend's house." My mom wasn't even in the company, but these people that she knew that were starting this new business, which at the time was a liquid nutraceutical, one of the juice drinks. And
what year was this? What was it? 2011?
2008. The name of the company. You want me to mention company names or no?
No, we're not going to really mention company names. That might be. Is that company still in business?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you can mention. I think I know.
The name of the company was Zuri, actually, and it was it was endorsed by Deepak Chopra. Yep. And at the time, this is like literally fresh out of my federal indictment, fresh out of trying to go get jobs. I went from the mortgage business basically because prior to me getting in trouble, I had removed myself out of my situation and out of my environment for almost 3 years. So actually, when the United States Marshals came and arrested me at my mortgage office in Myrtle Beach, I was 3 years out of doing the activities that I was doing whenever I got in trouble. So when that happened, I was introduced to this after going through job interview after job interview, and everywhere I went, I was telling the truth. Yes, I am a convicted felon, but I was trying to tell the story to them like there's, an advantage of you hiring me over the next guy. What just no one ever gave me that second chance. So I get a call from my mom. She's like, hey, I want you to show up at this house. These are some of the most wealthy people I know. They had a house on Royal Street in New Orleans. If you know about Royal Street, there's not a house on that street. This is worth less than $3 million. So I showed up to this house, and then there was all these people from the book The Secret in there. There was Rhonda Byrne there. There was Laurel Langmeyer and Don Duncan and all these people from all over the country. And then there was my friend Tim, who's a world-famous clarinetist, and his wife Juliet. And they invited me over there. And to be quite honest with you, it was $1,500 to buy in. I didn't have I didn't have the $1,500. I don't even think I had 2 nickels at the time. And I left there really enjoying the people that I was around. I knew that these were people that I needed to be around, but just didn't have the money. And Juliet, the person that invited me, found out that I didn't have the money, and she actually made the upfront investment for me. I did pay her back. But yeah, Somani actually had to invest for me at the very beginning because I was broker than broke.
So your first introduction to this industry was that you were going to get rich selling a juice that only 3 people could get to with a special helicopter and some mountains that was going to help your leg grow back and it was going to change the world. That's how you got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha.
And I remember. Do you want me to mention names of people that were there, or no?
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah. So when I got there, Brad Hager was there.
Yep, I remember.
House. Yeah. He was doing the I think he called them PBRs, private business reception. Yeah. So him and Susan Walsh and that whole crew was at Juliet's and Tim's, $3 million house, and I was like, wow. I went from hanging around felons and drug dealers and all the people that I was hanging around to be in the room with people like this. And I was like, all right, this might be a good tribe for me to be around.
So what clicked in your head at that quote unquote PBR that
it had nothing to do with the business? It was all about the people that were there. It was all about the people, man, seeing how they were dressed, how they carried themselves. I just knew these were people that had real wealth. These were not broke people. I mean, these were not people putting on a facade. These were people that were very, very high end, high class people. They loved on me while I was there at that house. I was nowhere near their tribe at that time, and they just loved on me. I think initially that was what was most attractive to me, was that it felt like somebody believed in me, and I had no belief in myself back then. So that was, I think, what was most important to me back then, that feeling that they gave me, that feeling like I was welcome there and that I belonged there. So it was more that.
Nice. So that was 13, 14 years ago. So over that time frame, what are some of the things that you've learned, good, bad, and indifferent, over the past 13, 14 years that have propelled you to where you are today? I mean, right before we started this Zoom, you told me about a financial mark that you're getting ready to hit that you've never hit before in this industry. And I was extremely excited to hear that. And because of where we come from, I won't get into any numbers unless you want me to. But when I heard that number, I'm like, my man, because I know where you were.
That's only a small pit stop. That's why. I'm looking at making that a month. I would say 5 years from now. And I've already worked the numbers out in the way that, it's just a matter of time, I think, before I get to that per month. So
nice.
I'm going to remain humble.
There you go. Eat that humble pie, drink that humble juice. So what have you learned over the past 13, 14 years, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, that has propelled you where you are today?
I think the most important thing that I can think of is that, number one, if this is a business of personal development. And I didn't really get that for a while. As a matter of fact, I heard that many times and I didn't understand it. It's that I remember Brad telling me, Damien, it's not about the products. He goes, it's about who you become, and it's about the people or the product. And I'll never forget Rick Bazile. Remember Rick Bazile? built one of the largest downlines in the history of network marketing. And he told me the same thing. He said two things to me. I'll never forget. I was in a room with him. Actually, it was me, Stormy Wellington was in that room, myself, Kimberly Stefanski, Chris Gomez. It was an all-star, group of people in that room. And I'll never forget Rick telling us this. He goes, there's two things, most important things. He said, number one, the product's not the product. He goes, the product is your people. And he said, the most important product is the newest person. And he always said that. And you know what? That applies. And I've applied that principle into every business that I've been in. The most important person is that newest person that comes through your business. And that's why the messaging, I think, sometimes gets so screwed up, because the messaging is not really normal. A lot of people, they want to speak to the 20%, the 10%, the 5%. And I think it's a big mistake. And one thing that I think I've always done well is I've made sure that my messaging resonated with the 80%, and that I kept everything super simple so that the new guy could get it.
Nice. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember what it was like to be the new guy. I never forgot that ever. I was too busy trying to sell everything, and then didn't really realize it was about the stories, And I would say probably one of the most important parts to edify to everybody is that you're not out chasing people to get into your deal. Okay. And if you are, you're doing it the wrong way. What you're doing is offering them an opportunity to change their life or not. It's an opt-in, opt-out situation. And that's one of the reasons why I believe I started to come from a place of strength rather than coming from a place of, hey, I need you, is because I'm offering you an opportunity. For example, last year I spoke at an event called Level Up Emerald Coast. And the keynote speaker was a man that has companies valued at $95 billion. His name is Jeff Hoffman. Jeff's the founder and CEO. Well, he was the founder of Expedia, but they sold that. Priceline, Booking.com, Ubid.com, and he invented the airport kiosk. So speaking at that event around somebody of his caliber, of course, we talked several times at that event. And now, because I've met him, he's invited me into his, I don't know if it's his inner circle. I'm in his circle now. And I've already been offered three or four different opportunities to invest in different companies going IPO. So the reason why I bring that up is because the most successful people in the world share opportunity regularly. Yeah. So it's so important if you understand, especially if you're new and you're watching this, if you're sharing your opportunity with people and you're getting rejected really hard and some negative things, some nasty things are being said to you, you're probably talking to the wrong people, because the successful people regularly share opportunities with people. Cedrick regularly shares opportunity with me. I've shared opportunity with him. So I think that is critical. And the other thing too is just the importance of stories. I was so busy trying to sell all the features of everything and didn't realize, I was a good salesman, but that doesn't, regular sales doesn't work here in what we do. Stories work. And until I got that, and I started to realize all these events that I went to, there was really everybody that got on stage, all they did was share stories.
That's it.
So yeah, you're one of the best storytellers. So yeah, it's all about stories. So I think out of my, what comes to mind right now is another thing I remember our rule being taught to me: most people fly or they die in 72 hours. And man, is that the truth?
Yes.
If you don't get underneath your people right away and find out, hey, do you want to do this thing or not? If you don't get them connected to the community and the culture and connected and get them some kind of an experience right away, chances are you're gonna lose that person if you don't get underneath them pretty quick. That's why I'm excited to be in the opportunity I'm in now, because now I'm dealing with licensed people that have a vested interest in education in the game.
So a couple things that I picked up from that. This is an opt-in, opt-out situation. I think that most people don't get that. And I always use the term volunteer army.
Yeah.
It's a complete volunteer army. You know, the second thing that you said was true successful people are always sharing their opportunity, always, over and over and over and over.
Regularly.
If that opportunity or new opportunity, they're not afraid to share it. They embrace the rejection and they don't care. And I think the third thing
They don't care. Because
Yeah.
let's say one of them hits big, right? And you found out that your friend knew about it. It's like the pot of gold you talk about, said, you know?
Mhm.
It's like you knew what his gold was and you didn't tell me about it.
Right.
I'd be a pretty pissed off friend if I found out you knew that there was some gold just sitting in a bucket somewhere, you know, some at the end of the rainbow, and you didn't tell me about it, man. What kind of friend are you?
This is a true story. And you know what I think a lot of that comes from, Damien? It comes from our perception of what we think that person is going to say or how they're
Right.
going to react to us, instead of us just sharing it and not having any attachment to the outcome whatsoever, like zero attachment.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking the other day, I said, what would you do if you could care less about what anybody ever thought about you? Like, that's the question that I think that people should ask themselves every single day. What would you do if you could care less about anything that anybody thought about you? And I think that there would be way more successful people, because we attach our identities, we attach our thought processes, we attach certain things that have happened inside of our life to what's this person going to say, or what is this person going to think, or this social media friend, or this or that, or whatever. Man,
None of your business.
yeah, exactly. It's none of your business. It's how they feel is how they feel.
It's none ya.
That's good point. Good point. So let me ask you this. You know, you've been in this industry for, you know, well over a decade plus. What would you say that has changed, that you've seen from a social media perspective, that has affected the way that you share opportunities? Because you got back in when there was no social media. So
Sure.
so what has changed? How has it helped you?
Well, you know, I could just tell you that the ability to be able to connect with anybody, you know, I mean, there's what, 1 billion people on Facebook. I mean, just the ability to connect, man. Like, for example, when I launched my real estate business, I basically talked to 50 people every day for 90 days, which is 4,500 people. In that first year selling real estate, not my revenue share, not the team that I built or anything like that, I sold $12.2 million in sales my first year, all because, and it was all done through social media. It was all done just through, you know, Grant Cardone, who I'm really not a huge fan of, but he has some really good stuff that he's talked about in the past. And he talks about obscurity being one of your number one problems. A lot of people don't know who you are, what you can do. Well, with the internet, you can overcome that quite quickly, especially nowadays. I don't do TikTok and, you know, certain things, but, you know, you can literally go viral on TikTok with one video. I mean, I know people that have gone literally viral with one video and have made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars because of it, because of that one video. All they do now is attaching a product to it, or they've overnight become an influencer, you know. So we're living right now in the greatest day and age of I think it just makes network marketing more of a level playing field, because I know back in my day when I started out, you had to have a skill set, like a really polished skill set on how to invite, overcoming objections, 3-week, you know, there's a lot that you had to know. And I'm not saying you don't have to know that today, but I think with content creation, and I think with social media, the new person can have success a whole lot quicker, simply because they can get their message out to a lot more people and target it too. They can target their message to their avatar. So for me, it's seeing the way that this game's evolved. You know, the one thing that you really don't see amongst the people that are hitting it at a high levels, they're really just sharing their story and their journey, building their personal brand. Really, they're adding value. That's what they're doing. And that's the key that I see, is that the people that just give and continue to give and give and give and share their life experience and share their journeys, you know, at some point, you know, Gary Vee talks about jab, 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 right hook. So the jab is the content, the value, jab, jab, jab. Hey, here's my book that I just launched. Please support me. Let's get it to an Amazon bestseller. Stuff like that. Just like we're going to do when your book goes. We're going to get you to a bestseller, right?
Absolutely.
So I just seen it the way it's made it more of a level playing field. If you're willing to put yourself out there, if you're willing to put yourself on camera, if you're willing to get on YouTube or any of these platforms and just make, I would just suggest this, make one or two of them, make that your platform. You don't have to be an expert at all of them. But, for me, it's Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, well, really Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. But, I don't do the TikToks and a lot of these other things just because it's just too much for me. So I know what's good for me and what I like to do, and Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are the ones that I like to leverage. So yeah, I just seen it make it a level playing field, I guess, is the easiest way. Seeing stay-at-home moms that are just doing makeup tutorials and all the things that they're doing. With Reels now. I mean, Reels are really where it's at. The short form video is really catching a lot of people's eyes right now. I've actually had several videos go viral for my real estate business on there. So, and I've also watched a very good friend of mine go from 0 to 100,000 followers in 10 months simply by literally reading someone else's regurgitated. He literally read a news article every day that someone else wrote in real estate. Every day he read Inman. If you know what Inman is a publication inside of real estate that it's a subscription program. All he would do every day was go on create a reel with the headlines. Inman, never doing social media to 100,000 followers by doing a reel every day.
Wow.
For 10 months.
Wow.
So it's level the playing field, man. It's giving you a platform now. And if you're not leveraging these platforms, if you're not sharing your story, if you're not doing this, I guess the question to ask yourself is why? You have a gift to share with the world. And in the network marketing space, I don't believe that I don't even know how you can do network marketing anymore without social media. I just personally don't. If so, you're just doing it the hard way.
I agree. I totally agree. Which brings me to the next question. You said, hey, leverage a couple of platforms. Some people tend to spread themselves too thin and try to figure out all these different places, like leverage 1 or 2 or 3 platforms and zone in on them. One of the things I've noticed about you is that you do quite a few videos. You do your posts, you're doing your targets, you're doing your recruitment, you're
Sure.
posting real estate, all that good stuff, but you do quite a few videos. Tell the people that are looking right now that might not be that big a fan of videos. I don't want to do videos. I'm not that good on video. I'm afraid of, basically what they're saying is I'm afraid of myself. I've got some sort of insecurity. I remember one of my good friends, I remember him starting his videos off in his grandmother's basement. People would always tell me, oh, well, say I don't have a 500-gallon fish tank in my background, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And I'm like, it didn't start like that. Like,
yeah, right.
I show you people that started off with a blank white wall. Because
where I started mine at? I started mine in rehab.
There you go. There you go. So why is video so important when it comes down to sharing the story and getting the business out there?
I think now that I have the experience that I have with like 9 years of doing video and public speaking and stuff like that, I think the easiest way for me to do this is just share a story with you. I remember when I was going to speak at the Lions Not Sheep event 2 years ago, and we went backstage, and all of the students, there was paid speakers that spoke at this event, and then our coach chose 5 of us that had really compelling stories, who had really utilized his coaching to turn our lives around, invited us to his stage, which was 2,500 people and very high level entrepreneurs. And I noticed that everybody behind the stage was really, really fearful. People were like scared. You could read it all over their face. And I remember several of them asking me, how do you look so relaxed right now? So one thing I learned about public speaking, which really video is not much different than public speaking, okay, is that it's not about me. It's about the guy that I was in the stadium when we were at Visalis, when we were in Vi, and we were up in, Miami, and there was 18,000 people in that arena. I remember I was at the very top of that arena. And I remember seeing those stories go across stage. And I just remember seeing it all. And I just remember that moment where it was just like something clicked in me. And I was the guy who needed to hear something that was on stage. And it was actually Nick's closing speech that he gave at that event when we visualized. You remember how we used to do the visualization?
Yep.
Where I believed for the first time that I could do this at a high level. So it's about reaching that guy or gal who's in the crowd, searching for that nugget, searching for that aha moment. And if you make it about them and not about you, then there should be no fear. You should be able to go out there and share your message because of who that person is that you might reach. Because it might have been somebody like me who was sitting, in an arena of 18,000 people. And it's funny because if you fast forward, 8 years after that opportunity, I worked directly with the founder of that company in another opportunity to get together. And he was the guy that actually gave the speech on stage. And I actually ended up telling him one day that I knocked off his speech one day. And I gave that exact speech that he gave from another platform. And then he asked to see it. And I shared it with him. And he actually loved the way I pulled off his speech. So, I think the easiest way is get out of it. It's not about you. It's about them. It's about the people that you're talking to. So don't make it about you because it's not a you show. It's a who can you impact show.
For those of y'all that didn't get that last thing, it's not it's not a you.
It's just, when people are when you're fearful of something, you're fearful of how you're going to look. It's all about your ego, right? But if you can get rid of that ego and just go out there just to talk unapologetically, share your story, don't worry who says what, but you're legitimately looking for one person. Chances are you're going to impact way more people than one, but you're really just looking for that one person. I'll just share one last thing real quick. This has nothing to do with network marketing, but it's very important. You just never know. One day, usually before the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, before I sit down with my family, I go out and bless the homeless. I have to. I don't know why. I feel it in my spirit that I drive around New Orleans because I'm usually home from New Orleans during the holidays, and I ask the Lord to show me who should I bless today. And usually I'll find a couple families and just go absolutely bless them beyond, what they probably expect. Now, I'll never forget this guy. This one day I was driving around. I was just asking the Lord, show me who to go talk to. Show me who to go talk to. And there was this one guy and I had seen him like 2 or 3 times on my ride. And something told me to go talk to this guy. And when I got out the car and I took my sunglasses off, he told me that he was just praying to the Lord to show him a sign that he was real because his flint was flickering and he was on the verge of committing suicide.
Wow.
And he was praying to the Lord, show me something, please just give me a sign. And I stopped to go talk to him and pray with him. So you just never know who that person is that you're going to be able to impact, man. And I actually have this on video too, where this guy's actually sharing what had just happened between he and I. I don't normally share stuff like that publicly because it's kind of an intimate thing, but I was just like, this is so crazy. Can you share that? Can I get this on video? He was saying, yes. So just make it not about you. Get out of self and be selfless with sharing your message.
No, that's deep. That's deep. I was given a tip years ago about video and public speaking specifically because, as you know, I love to speak and I love that stage and that public forum. But when my daughter graduated from high school, she had to give the commencement speech, and she's in front of a couple thousand people, and she said, "Dad, I need a tip. Like, what's a tip? What's a tip? Because I'm scared." And I said, "Everybody in the audience is naked." And she said, "Huh?" I said, "I want you to picture everybody in the audience naked. You're the only one with clothes on. So you're the one that is the most comfortable in the room because everybody else is naked."
Wow. I never heard that one before.
Yeah, and it gave her an aha moment. And I didn't think that she was going to say it, But she actually went on stage, and when she was talking, she was like, my dad told me to help me to get comfortable to picture all of y'all being naked. I'm like, did she actually just say that on stage? I'm like, that was for you. That was a nugget for you. Like, what are you doing?
She's your child. What do you think? Of course
Right.
she said it.
It was hilarious, but man, it was so good to see her step out.
Did you get that on video?
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
man.
It was absolutely hilarious.
I'm gonna be in St. Pete and up in March for our event again. I'm gonna come see. I want to when I see you, show me that.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. So this is a perfect transition into events. You know, you've attended a lot of events in your life. I've attended a lot of events in my life, and I've always told the people that I've been in contact with, even people that I don't know personally. You know, Jim Rohn said it the best. You never know which event is going to change your life. That's why you should go to all of them. You never know.
All of them.
This is a two-part
question.
100%. Two-part question. Question number one. What would you say would be, if you could pinpoint it, what was that one event that if you could pinpoint it, that changed your life, that there was an aha moment, something clicked and everything changed? And then the second part of that question is, why is it so important for veterans and rookies in this industry to always attend events?
Well, you know, I just said a minute ago it was the one in Miami, but actually wasn't that one. That was the one I believe that I saw it at a higher level. But the one where I think the one that made the most difference was in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm a pretty big guy. Might not look like it in this video, but I'm about 6'2", 300, about 6'2" and a half, 300 pounds. Okay. Back then I might've been at like 265. I had a single cab Nissan truck. Y'all remember those little Nissans that they used to have? Well, I had one of those. And I did not know how I was going to make it to this event because I was that broke. I think I borrowed some money from, I don't remember how I got there. I know I cashed change in. I did everything I could to go to this event because this guy told me every reason that you're giving me right now that you can't be at this event is the reason why you need to be at that event. And I remember him telling me this, and he said, if you want to be a millionaire in this business, he goes, I've coached 11 people to become millionaires. He said, I want to see you at this event. And I was like, wow, I don't know how I'm going to be there. I'm down in Louisiana. It's a 9-hour drive. No idea how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to make it happen. I drove all the way from Louisiana to Atlanta in my little single cab truck, and I was sleeping in that truck for the event. All right. They found out on day 2 that I was sleeping in my truck for the event. And Brad Hager, actually, they invited me inside. He called me up to the front of the room and told everybody, you want to see what dedication and commitment is? And he goes, I guarantee you this kid right here is going to be a big success one day. And because I drove there and I literally slept in my truck. And then the next night they got me a hotel room for the second night. So it was that event where I literally I had no reason being at this event because I was that broke, but I needed to be at that event because I was willing to do anything that my mentor told me back then. Anything. Didn't matter what he told me to do. I was going to do it because I think there was something with me. It wasn't about letting me down. It was like, I think at the beginning it was more about letting them down and losing them. I know I needed these people so much in my life early on that it wasn't really, it had nothing to do with me why I made these events. It had everything to do with because I didn't want to lose access to this person.
Right.
And to be quite honest with you, early on in my network marketing career, I needed that tough coaching. I don't believe there's a lot of people today that could be coached the way that I was coached. There's some soft people in the world today. There's some soft people in the world that, number one, aren't going to hold themselves accountable, and God forbid somebody else is going to try to hold them accountable. But I was always open to accountability. I was always open to the harsh, rough truth because I needed that style of coaching. You know, I believe there's a time and a place for a polite professional conversation, but no magic happens there. The magic happens in an honest reality conversation. And if you don't care enough about me, if you don't give a damn enough about me to call me out of my shit, then I don't need you around me. That's kind of where I'm at in life today too. I have people around me, a group of men in my Bible study. I have a group of men in another men's group that I'm a part in called the Kingdom Leadership Group. We hold each other accountable, man. We pray over each other. We hold each other accountable. We give tough love if we need to. So I just find that early on, I needed that. So that event, the one that I slept in my truck, my little green Nissan single cab, that was the event.
Gotcha. Well, your
what was the second part? Say again.
One thing I say, your trucks have changed now. I've seen things have changed a little.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a little bit. Still a truck, man, but it's not a single Nissan anymore. Just a little bit. But the other part was that one event was something just clicked. Like, what was that thing that clicked and said yes?
All right, it was the Miami event, no doubt. The Miami event that we were at, and this is where, and honestly, every event that I speak at, I do this now also because of how much it impacted me. So there was something that actually happened at that event that there's no event that I do, whether it's a team building event or it's an in-person event. If I'm hosting that event, I'm doing a visualization, okay? Because I was never brought up by people that knew the importance of visualization and the importance of the power of thought. I was just raised around some folks that, were very blue collar people. Wasn't the most highly educated, amazing people, awesome people. They just didn't do any personal growth, personal development. So they did the best they could do with what they had. So when I did this visualization exercise, I cried. I remember crying my eyes out that night when he did that visualization exercise. Then I remember seeing all those people walk across that stage, and I remember telling myself, they're no different than me. They're no different than me. If they do it, I can do it. As long as I don't quit, I don't know how long it's going to take me, but as long as I don't quit, I will die before I ever stop pursuing what quality of life that I believe that I deserve. And now that I have a relationship with Christ in my life, I believe that we are God's highest form of creation. And not only that, but we have the spiritual DNA of the creator of everything in our body. We have the blood of Christ running through our veins. And I believe that if you're a believer like I am, then how can you come from anywhere other than strength? I believe that my God's an abundant God. He wants abundance for us. He doesn't want scarcity.
Yeah.
So how can you even come from a place of anything other than strength if you truly understand that you're God's highest form of creation? The first person I ever heard say that was Alex Morton, actually, when Alex and I were rocking together in Bema. And I remember hearing it. Actually, he introduced me to Bob Proctor. So, yes, it was that event. It was that event. Vitality in Miami, and I was in the nosebleeds.
I remember that event. I remember that.
You weren't in the nosebleed. You were on stage for the fastest organization in the company to go 5-star.
Yeah, I remember that event very, very clearly. Very, very clearly.
That was legal white powder.
The legal white powder. That's right. That legal white powder. We know how to sell that type of stuff, so it's easy. So something, you made me think about something when it came to an event. I remember, I think it was 2009, 2010. You remember the Jeffrey Combs More Heart Than Talent events?
Yeah, actually, it's funny you mentioned Jeffrey. I was on the phone with him about a month ago.
Nice.
I hadn't talked to him in 10 years since Shweta and since some friends of ours they used to bring him into New Orleans a lot for their events. But yeah, I just talked to him recently.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while either. I remember being at that event and Lord rest his soul, Mark Hoverson was speaking at the event. And I remember being all the way, at the back of the room. And I saw Mark in the hallway, and I said, what do I need to do to get on that stage? Because I wanted everything to get on that stage. I just wanted to be on that stage. Like, I felt like the stage is where I belong, and I want to be able to train. I want to be able to do what you guys are doing, because just like you said, you guys are no different than me. I got a story to tell too. I've got some things that I can input into people. And he said, you just need to hire Jeffrey. And I said, huh? He said, you need to hire Jeffrey. Just hire him. He said, hire him, and I promise you, you'll be on the stage. And I'm like, can't be that simple. He was like, yeah, it's that simple. And I'm like, really? Okay. He just gave me the blueprint. So, the next week
I hired Jeffrey Combs at one point?
I hired Jeffrey Combs as a coach.
I was coached by Jeffrey too.
Yep, I hired him as a coach, and we were coaching for about 6 months. And at that event, he had those bracelets, More Heart Than Talent. And I vowed that I was never going to take this bracelet off until I got on this stage. And I wore that bracelet for a whole year. And the next year, I was actually on that stage. So when you talk about the power of events, I mean, if I didn't even go to that event, I would have never known what it would have took to actually get on that stage. And that propelled me into a lot of different things. So I think a lot of people don't understand the power of events. And
so I want to close with saying one thing about events, because I find so often people try to talk themselves out of going for whatever reason. And, a lot of times there's all these cliche things that people say about events, but most of them are true, actually. Although they may sound cliche, this is one of the things that just always stuck in my mind, is that any excuse that I would come up with as to why I should not be there is exactly the reason why I needed to be there. So for me, I had to just commit to the investment, but I also had to commit to getting an ROI leaving those events. So if I was going to invest in myself to go to those events, I made the events money-making events. I would drive volume down through my team. There's a lot of things to do to turn these events into, especially if they're network marketing events, to really, turn every event that you go to as a revenue-producing event. So I would highly suggest that you guys come up with a strategy on how to do that, because at every event that you attend, you should be driving volume. There should be some type of an offer at that event to grow your business. So I looked at it as a way to grow myself and a way to grow my business.
Good point. I think that even outside of driving volume, because some events don't drive volume, some events might not have that limited time offer.
But it's that new relationship that you made that's worth $1 million.
You just took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That's the key. So outside of the volume generating thing, what is that? Who is that person? What is that conversation? I remember being interviewed by Grant Cardone, and I told him, I said, I've never paid for an event. I told him, I said, an event has never cost me money. And he was like, no, dude, flights, hotels, this, that, food. I'm like, there's never an event that I've been to that's cost me money. He was like, bull crap, bro, bull crap. And I'm like, let me explain to you real quick, bro. I cannot put my finger on anything that I've spent the money on, whether it was the hotel,
right,
it was the food, whether it's the flight, that I didn't leave from that event making more money from something that I heard, a relationship that I created, something that another event that came from it, a speaking engagement, a coaching client, or this or that. I don't know. And I think that's the mindset that a lot of people have to go into. They don't look at, oh, the flights are $400 or this or that or blah, blah, blah. Who are you going to meet? I met a guy, it was so funny. I met a guy at the event, and he might be, I'm pretty sure he's somebody that's going to buy my book. I have zero doubt that he's going to buy my book. So when he hears these interviews, he's going to be like, say it's talking about me. But I remember this was like at the Ray Higdon event not too long ago, and it was very interesting. Before this time, Damien, he kept asking me to send him my CD set. Somebody had posted a 10K per month blueprint on Facebook. One of my first CD sets from 2009. And I got that. And I was, all these accolades, and I was feeling really good. And I was like, man, that's cool. So many people got it. And a guy inboxed me and he said, do you still have any of those CD sets? And I'm like, I'm sure I probably got one or two of them in the garage. I'm like, but who has a CD player, man? He was like, I still got a CD player. And I'm like, I mean, okay. He was like, can you send me the CD set? And I'm like, I think I sold that set for like $297. I said, but just, cash out me $100, man, and I'll send it to you. And he went dark, Damien. He went dark. He didn't respond to him. I'm like, he thought I was going to give it to him. Oh no, there's value that people don't.
Oh no, there's always value there.
Yeah. He thought people don't value free. So a couple of weeks later, he hit me up again. It was like, "Said, did you have the CD set?" I'm like, "Yeah, I told you I have the CD set, but send me the $100 and I'll send it to you." He goes dark again. I'm like, "That's funny." I'm not chasing him. He's the one asking me. I didn't post my CD set from 13, 14 years ago because who has a CD player? Long story short, I see him at the Ray Higdon event. And he was like, "Said, did you bring the CD set?" And I said, "Why would I bring the CD set? I told you I wanted." I said, "But you never responded every time."
And you never sent me my money.
And I said, "You know what's funny about that though?" And he was like, "What's that?" I said, "You're here at this event. Are you staying at this hotel?" It's like, "Yeah, the Marriott." "Yeah, you staying here for the whole event?" "Yeah, 3 days." "Yeah." I said, "That's about $600, not including the fees. This is about $200 a night, right?" "Yeah." "Do you plan on eating?" "Yeah." "So you're gonna eat while you're here too, right?" Yeah. "Okay. That's another couple hundred. Let's just call that 200. So now we're up to $800, right?" Yeah. He didn't even know where I was going with this. And I said, "Did you fly here? Did you drive here?" I flew here. Ironically, he's from New Orleans too. I said, "What's that?"
Really?
"About $400. You don't know him, no. Is it about $400? Yeah. So you're about $1,000 plus deep. And then there's a good chance that you're going to spend some money at this event. You can afford to spend $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 into this event, but you wouldn't invest $97 into a CD set that a gazillion other people were actually talking about."
Right.
That should say a lot about where you want to be and what you're trying to accomplish. And it made me really, really think about everything that I've accomplished, things that I've invested in. Those are the things that really change you.
Sure.
You know, those are the things that change you, not really the things that you get for free, the things that you whipped out your credit card for, because now you've got some sort of investment.
I would never, first of all, ask a friend of mine to discount a product they have for me to buy it. No, as a friend and as an entrepreneur and as somebody that understands this now, I'm paying full price.
Right.
And I love supporting my people, man.
Well, not only do you pay full price when you show up, and there's never been a time that you haven't came here to Florida or something and said, "I'm here in town. You know, let's link up. You know, we'll go to one of my favorite spots, Seasons 52 or something, and you're treating dinner." And it's so funny. People will show up and they want to pick your brain or ask questions or this or that, and
they want you to pay for dinner.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't even understand this logic. Like this, no wonder you are where you are right now. Like you don't even understand this.
Let me
logic.
pick your brain, and then let's go to your favorite restaurant, and then you can buy me dinner too.
You can buy me dinner too. I've never done that. Like I was at lunch with Delator McNeil, who's one of my favorite speakers, and he lives in Tampa. Man, I invited him out to lunch and just something. Little Applebee's, man. We're just at lunch, and I wanted to ask him some stuff about some book stuff. You know, we spent about 30, 40 minutes together, and he had to run and pick up his kids. And you know, he had told the lady to bring the tab, and he had put his money on the table. I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing?" He was like, "Said, I got it." Like, no, don't do that. That's embarrassing to me. Like, don't do that.
Right.
Like, I invited you to lunch. I don't care if it's $50 or $500. It's irrelevant because you took the time out of your schedule to spend with me, to give me some nuggets.
And guys, if y'all are not taking notes right now, this might be the best nugget you've gotten so far in this video. Take people to lunch, treat them to dinner. I'm always asking people for that. I have always believed that I was important enough and I was bold enough to always ask the people that I looked up to, Bradley, Grant Cardone, all these people, I've asked for all their time and I've gotten their time, but I've also reciprocated something of value to them.
Right.
You know, so understand that, you know, yes, people's time is very valuable. Yes, of course, you know, they look at their time and there is a dollar amount on their time. There's no doubt about that. But if you're going to ask someone to pick their brain, you bet to be bringing something of value and at least picking up the doggone tab. I've done this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. I can't tell you how many times I've done this because I really didn't have much to offer other than probably paying for that meal. But let me tell you, those conversations, and I made sure that I always brought a notebook too. Bring a notebook with you when you go to these dinners. Bring something to write with, because the person on the other end of the table is going to look at you and say, wow, this person's serious. You know, I'm always traveling with a notebook. I always have a journal, whether I'm in church, where no matter where I'm at, I have a journal or a notebook every single place that I go, even when I'm talking to my own team. All right. There's something that just because, you know, I'm more successful than someone else doesn't mean that I don't have something to learn from that person either. So always be in student mode. Said I do have to run here, and like right now I have a Zoom that I'm 4 minutes late for. I apologize for stacking them so close.
All good, brother. Listen, I thank you for popping on here, bro.
No. You don't understand. This is more an honor for me to be here and be invited by you. I would be wherever you wanted me to be, whenever you wanted me to be there. But the fact that you invited me to take part in this project means a lot to me. So I want you to know how much I value you as a friend, as a peer, and also as a mentor. I appreciate you. You were there for me at a point in my life when, just so y'all know, Ced was there for me at a point in my life when there was not many people that was there for me. And I was not in his business. You know, I did not benefit him financially, but that man was there for me when I needed him. And I just want to let you guys know that this man is not just an amazing network marketer. He's a great dad. He's a great friend. And he's just an amazing, amazing person. So y'all are very fortunate to be hearing from him. And go support him and buy his book, by the way.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate you. You rock. I know you got to get on that Zoom, man. But keep on crushing out there. Continue success. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, man. Y'all have a blessed day. Much love. God bless you.
Thanks,
See ya.
brother.
Bye-bye.